Get out! These people don't belong here! The words slice through the crowded diner. A white waitress with bleached hair towers over a young black woman sitting alone in a corner booth. 6 months pregnant, the woman wears a simple blue dress, her wedding ring catching the afternoon light. The waitress slams a glass of water down so hard it splashes across the table. Ice cubes scatter onto the woman's lap, soaking through her dress. She gasps, instinctively protecting her belly. "You heard me! Find somewhere else to sit!" The pregnant woman looks up, confusion in her eyes. "I'm sorry, I don't understand." Without warning, the waitress's hand flies across the woman's face. The impact sends her head snapping to the side. Her cheek explodes in red fingerprints. Silence blankets the entire restaurant. Every customer freezes. Cell phones emerge from pockets, cameras rolling. Have you ever seen someone's prejudice blind them to the storm coming their way? 3 months earlier, downtown Atlanta pulses with Tuesday afternoon energy. The Georgia sun beats down on cracked sidewalks where business suits mix with construction hard hats. Car horns blend with jackhammer rhythms. The smell of hot asphalt and blooming magnolias hangs thick in the humid air. The Peachtree Diner sits on the corner of 5th and Main, a relic from the 1980s with red vinyl booths and black and white checkered floors. Ceiling fans spin lazily overhead, fighting the oppressive heat. The neon "Open" sign flickers intermittently, casting pink shadows through dust-streaked windows. Serena Williams Thompson steps through the glass door, the cool blast of air conditioning hitting her like a wave. At 28, she carries herself with quiet confidence despite being 6 months pregnant. Her navy blue dress flows over her growing belly, and her natural hair frames a face that radiates intelligence. The briefcase in her hand contains files that could change lives, civil rights cases she's prosecuting as an assistant U.S. attorney. She chose this diner for a reason. 3 years ago, Detective Captain James Thompson proposed to her right here in Booth 7. Today marks their anniversary, and she's planning to surprise him when his shift ends. The diamond on her finger sparkles as she touches her belly, thinking about their unborn daughter. The lunch crowd fills most tables. Construction workers occupy the counter, their yellow hard hats lined up like sentries beside coffee cups. A table of business people huddles over contracts, their voices hushed and urgent. 2 elderly men play checkers in the back corner, sharing a slice of peach pie between moves. Behind the counter, Brenda Kowalski wipes glasses with mechanical precision. 45 years old, with bottle blonde hair showing dark roots, she's worked here for 8 years since her messy divorce. Her pale blue uniform stretches tight across her frame, and her name tag hangs crooked above a permanent scowl. She eyes Serena with immediate suspicion. The neighborhood itself tells a story of change. Luxury condos rise where family homes once stood. Coffee shops with names like Artisan Brew replace corner stores that served the community for decades. Young professionals with designer handbags walk past longtime residents who can no longer afford the rising rents. The Peachtree Diner has become a battleground between old and new, black and white, us and them. Serena slides into a middle booth, the worn vinyl sighing under her weight. She pulls out her phone and scrolls through case files, testimonies from victims of workplace discrimination, evidence of systemic racism that she'll present to federal juries. The irony isn't lost on her that she spends her days fighting the very prejudice that now watches her from behind the counter. The diner's atmosphere carries subtle tensions. A black family with 3 children sits near the kitchen, their server taking forever to return with their order. An elderly white couple by the window receives constant attention, their coffee cups never empty. The patterns are invisible to most, but Serena's trained eye catches every detail. Brenda approaches with obvious reluctance, her footsteps heavy against the checkered floor. She doesn't make eye contact as she slams a sticky menu onto the table. The plastic cover is cracked, and several pages stick together with dried syrup. "Kitchen's back up. You'll be waiting a while," Brenda announces, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Her tone suggests this is somehow Serena's fault. Serena maintains her professional composure, the same calm demeanor she uses in courtrooms. "That's fine. Could I just have some lemonade and a small garden salad? I'm not very hungry today." Morning sickness has been brutal lately, but she needs something in her stomach. Brenda's eye roll is theatrical. "Figures. Probably counting every penny." She turns away without writing down the order, muttering just loud enough to be heard. The comment hangs in the air like smoke. Other customers glance over, some uncomfortable, others pretending not to notice. Serena feels the familiar weight of being watched, judged, and found wanting based solely on her appearance. But she's faced worse in federal courtrooms. She can handle one bitter waitress. She checks her phone. 2:15 p.m. James should arrive by 3:30, giving them time to celebrate before dinner. She imagines his surprise when he sees her here, in the place where their love story began. The thought makes her smile despite Brenda's hostility. The diner continues its rhythm around her. Orders called out, register keys punching, ice clinking in glasses. Normal sounds of normal life, unaware that everything is about to change. Brenda returns 20 minutes later carrying a cup of black coffee instead of lemonade. She sets it down with deliberate force, the dark liquid sloshing over the rim and staining the already grimy table. The bitter smell rises between them like a challenge. "This isn't what I ordered," Serena says politely, her prosecutor's training keeping her voice level. "I asked for lemonade and a garden salad." Brenda plants her hands on her hips, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Oh, I'm sorry, Princess. This isn't the Ritz-Carlton. You get what you get." She emphasizes each word like she's talking to a child. The nearby tables grow quiet. Michael Brooks, a businessman in a crisp gray suit, glances up from his laptop. He's seen this before, the subtle aggression, the deliberate disrespect. His phone sits ready on the table beside his coffee cup, steam still rising from the black surface. "I understand mistakes happen," Serena responds calmly, her hand resting protectively on her belly. "But I'm pregnant and can't drink coffee. Could you please bring me lemonade instead?" Brenda's laugh is sharp and ugly. "Pregnant again? How many baby daddies are there now?" The words slice through the diner's ambient noise. Conversations at nearby tables stop completely. Forks pause halfway to mouths. The elderly couple by the window turns to stare openly. Heat rises in Serena's cheeks, but she maintains her composure. Years of facing hostile defense attorneys have taught her to control her reactions. "Excuse me, but that's completely inappropriate. I'd like to speak with your manager, please." "Manager's not here, sweetheart." Brenda crosses her arms, blocking Serena's view of the rest of the diner. "It's just me and the cook, and he barely speaks English. So you can either drink your coffee or leave. Your choice, Mrs. Dorothy Washington, a 70-year-old black woman who's been coming here for decades, watches from her corner table. She's seen this pattern before, the deliberate poor service, the veiled insults, the way certain customers get treated like unwelcome intruders. Her weathered hands grip her coffee cup tighter. The ceramic feels warm against her palms, a small comfort in an increasingly uncomfortable situation. Serena tries a different approach. "Look, I just want some lemonade and a salad. I'll pay whatever you charge. I'm not trying to cause any trouble." Trouble? Brenda's voice rises, ensuring everyone can hear. "You people always claim you're not causing trouble right before you start demanding free stuff and threatening to call lawyers." She makes air quotes around the word lawyers like it's a joke. Her bleached hair catches the overhead fluorescent light, making her pale skin look almost ghostly. The pregnant woman's patience frays slightly. "I never said anything about lawyers or free food. I simply want to order lunch." "Right." Brenda rolls her eyes dramatically. "Let me guess. You'll order the most expensive thing on the menu, eat half of it, then complain it wasn't cooked right so you don't have to pay. I've seen this act before." Two college students at a nearby booth exchange uncomfortable glances. The girl, wearing a University of Georgia sweatshirt, pulls out her phone and starts recording discreetly, sensing something ugly brewing. Her boyfriend shifts nervously in the cracked vinyl seat, unsure whether to intervene. The smell of fried onions from the kitchen mingles with the tension in the air. Serena's legal mind catalogs each interaction. The discriminatory service, the racial assumptions, the hostile work environment being created for other customers. But she's not here as a prosecutor today. She's here as a pregnant woman trying to have lunch and surprise her husband on their anniversary. "Ma'am, I think you have the wrong impression. I'm actually..." "Actually what?" Brenda interrupts, stepping closer. "Actually, do you think you're better than everyone else? Actually think this neighborhood belongs to you now?" Her voice grows louder with each word. "Well, Let me tell you something, honey. Some of us have been working hard our whole lives while your kind has been looking for handouts. The silence that follows is deafening. Even the kitchen sounds seem muted. The construction workers at the counter stare openly now. One older man with calloused hands shakes his head in disgust, but nobody speaks up. The ceiling fans continue their lazy rotation, pushing stale air around the suddenly suffocating space. Serena feels her daughter kick, a strong, defiant movement that reminds her what she's protecting. She takes a deep breath and tries once more. I think we got off on the wrong foot. My name is Serena. I'd just like to order some food and wait for my husband. Your husband? Brenda's laugh is cruel and sharp. Let me guess, he's white, right? That's why you think you can come into our neighborhood acting all high and mighty. Got yourself knocked up by some rich white boy and now you think you're special? The assumption hits like a physical blow. Serena's hand trembles slightly as she reaches for her purse. The leather feels smooth against her fingers, a tangible reminder of the life she's built through hard work and determination. I'm going to pay for the coffee and leave. This is obviously not the right place for me. Oh no, you don't. Brenda steps closer, her voice turning threatening. The smell of cheap perfume mixed with grease clings to her uniform. You order something, you pay for it. That's $4.50 for the coffee plus tip, and I expect a good tip since you've wasted so much of my time with your attitude. Michael Brooks finally acts, pulling out his phone and hitting record. The red light blinks as he captures Brenda's increasingly aggressive behavior. Other customers notice and follow suit. In seconds, multiple phones document the escalating confrontation. The college girl adjusts her angle to get better footage. Serena opens her wallet, her movements careful and deliberate. Fine, here's $10, keep the change. She places the bill on the wet table, coffee immediately soaking into the corners. The money darkens as the liquid spreads across Andrew Jackson's face, but Brenda isn't finished. She grabs the soggy bill and examines it closely. Fancy wallet for someone who can barely afford coffee. Where'd you get it? A 5-finger discount at some department store? Her eyes narrow as she studies Serena's credit cards visible in the open wallet. Actually, looking at you again, I bet that baby isn't even your husband's. Probably some rich white man's kid, and now you're trying to pass it off as legitimate. The words are vile, calculated to inflict maximum damage. That's what you people do, right? Get pregnant and find some sucker to pay the bills. The entire diner holds its breath. Even the elderly checkers players have stopped their game to stare. The construction workers look uncomfortable, but none intervene. The business people pretend to focus on their papers while clearly listening to every word. A young mother covers her child's ears and whispers for him to look away. Serena stands slowly, one hand supporting her back, the other protecting her belly. Her voice remains steady despite the tears threatening to fall. You don't know anything about me or my family. I know enough, Brenda sneers. I know your type comes in here thinking you own the place, demanding special treatment and playing the victim when you don't get your way. Well, this is still America, and we don't have to pretend to like it. The mask has completely fallen away now. The veneer of customer service has dissolved, revealing the raw hatred underneath. Mrs. Washington finally stands up, her age-spotted hands shaking with anger, but Serena catches her eye and shakes her head slightly. The last thing she wants is for this elderly woman to get hurt defending her. Serena gathers her purse and briefcase, moving toward the door with as much dignity as she can muster. Her heels click against the checkered floor, each step echoing in the tense silence. But Brenda has one more card to play. Actually, hold on there, princess. Her voice turns official, authoritative. I think we need to have a little talk about those credit cards I saw in your wallet. Funny how someone like you can afford such fancy plastic. Rebecca Williams, even your real name. The implication hangs heavy in the air like smoke from the kitchen grill. Now, it's not just about poor service or racial slurs, it's about accusations of theft. The situation has crossed a line from uncomfortable to dangerous, and everyone in the diner knows it. The afternoon sun streaming through dirty windows seems harsher now, illuminating a scene that should never happen in 2024 America. Brenda blocks Serena's path to the exit, her body forming a human barrier between the pregnant woman and the door. The afternoon sunlight streams through the glass, casting long shadows across the checkered floor. The smell of bacon grease and burnt coffee grows stronger, mixing with the tension that now fills every corner of the diner. "Where do you think you're going?" Brenda's voice carries new authority, as if she's suddenly transformed from waitress to security guard. "Nobody leaves without settling their bill properly, and I think we need to verify those credit cards before you walk out of here." Serena's heart pounds against her ribs. She can feel her daughter moving restlessly inside her, responding to the stress hormones flooding her system. "I already paid you $10 for a $4.50 coffee. That's more than enough. That was before I saw those fancy cards in your wallet." Brenda reaches out and snatches Serena's purse before she can react. The leather bag dangles from the waitress's pale fingers like evidence at a crime scene. "Let's just make sure everything's on the up and up here." The violation feels worse than the slurs. Serena's voice sharpens with the authority she uses in federal courtrooms. "You have no right to take my personal property. Give me back my purse immediately." "Oh, listen to that," Brenda announces to the room, her voice dripping with mockery. Now she sounds all educated and official. Funny how that accent comes and goes, isn't it? Must have learned that from watching TV lawyers. She dangles the purse higher, just out of Serena's reach. Michael Brooks's recording captures every moment. His business training tells him to stay neutral, but his conscience wars with his caution. The red recording light blinks steadily as Brenda dumps the purse's contents onto the counter with deliberate malice. The sound of items scattering echoes through the silent diner like marbles hitting concrete. Serena's belongings spread across the stained surface like pieces of her dignity. Car keys land next to prenatal vitamins with a metallic clink. Her work ID slides under a napkin dispenser. Credit cards fan out beside lip balm and receipts, the intimate contents of her life now displayed for strangers to judge and assess. Well, what do we have here? Brenda picks up each item like she's conducting an investigation. BMW car keys. That's a fancy ride for someone who counts pennies. And look at these credit cards. American Express Black Card. Honey, you either stole these or you're servicing some very rich white men for pocket money. The accusation hits the diner like a shockwave. "Mrs. Washington gasps audibly from her corner table, her coffee cup rattling against its saucer. The college students lean forward, their phones capturing every cruel word. Even the cook emerges from the kitchen, drawn by the commotion, his face confused behind wire-rimmed glasses. Serena reaches for her scattered belongings, but Brenda slaps her hand away. The sharp crack echoes through the silence like a gunshot. Red marks bloom across Serena's knuckles like angry fingerprints. She cradles her stinging hand against her chest, protecting both it and her unborn child from further assault. "Did I say you could touch your stuff?" Brenda's voice turns venomous, her pale face flushed with the power she believes she holds. "For all I know, every single thing in here is stolen. These cards, this fancy jewelry, even that designer handbag. Probably walked out of some department store when nobody was looking." She picks up Serena's wedding ring, which had slipped off during the struggle. The diamond catches the fluorescent light, throwing tiny rainbows across the counter. Probably lifted this from some jewelry store, too. 3-carat rock like this? No way you bought it legitimately. The business people at their corner table finally look up from their papers. A woman in a navy blazer pulls out her phone, her manicured fingers dialing what looks like 911. But she hesitates, thumb hovering over the call button, unsure if this qualifies as an emergency or just an unpleasant social situation that might resolve itself. "Please?" Serena's voice cracks slightly, exhaustion seeping through her professional composure. "Just give me my things back. I haven't done anything wrong. I just wanted lunch." "Nothing wrong?" Brenda's laugh is harsh and grating like nails on a chalkboard. "You came into my workplace, disrupted my customers, demanded special treatment like you owned the place, and now you're trying to leave without proper payment. That sounds like plenty wrong to me, Princess." She picks up Serena's work ID but holds it face down without reading it. Her prejudice has created such tunnel vision that she can't see past her own assumptions. The federal prosecutor badge that could end this entire nightmare sits inches from her ignorant fingers, but hatred has blinded her to obvious truth. "Rebecca Williams, huh?" Brenda squints at the back of the ID card. Bet this is fake, too. Probably bought it online from some scammer in China. You people always have fake IDs with fake names to match your fake credit cards. The irony burns through Serena's chest like acid. Her federal prosecutor credentials, which represent years of law school, bar exams, and climbing the justice system ladder, sit dismissed as counterfeit by someone who can't even read them properly. "I'm calling the police," Brenda announces dramatically, reaching for the diner's landline phone with theatrical flair. "We'll let them sort out what's real and what's stolen. They're real good at dealing with situations like this. Know exactly how to handle troublemakers." The dial tone buzzes through the speaker as she punches in 911. Every number beeps loudly in the tense silence. Serena feels trapped between the counter and this woman's escalating madness, like an animal cornered by a predator. Her daughter kicks frantically as if sensing the danger surrounding them both. 911, what's your emergency?" The dispatcher's voice crackles through the phone's speaker, official and professional. "Yes, this is Brenda at the Peachtree Diner on 5th Street. I need the police here immediately." Her voice transforms into something sweet and vulnerable for the dispatcher, a complete personality change. "I've got a black female trying to use stolen credit cards, and when I confronted her, she became aggressive and threatening toward me and other customers." She pauses for dramatic effect, letting the lies sink into the official record. "She's pregnant, so she might be on drugs or something. You need to send someone right away. I'm scared she might get violent." The false report hangs in the air like poison gas. Every customer in the diner knows they've witnessed perjury in real time. The college girl's recording captures every lying word. Mrs. Washington shakes her head in disgust, finally understanding the full scope of what's unfolding before her weathered eyes. Serena feels sharp pains shoot through her abdomen. Stress-induced contractions grip her belly like iron bands, tightening and releasing in waves. She grips the counter edge, her knuckles white against the dark laminate. Fear for her baby's safety now overshadows her own humiliation and anger. "Oh, now you're faking pregnancy complications?" Brenda's voice drips with cruel satisfaction, watching Serena's obvious distress with glee. "Let me guess, next you'll claim I attacked you or violated your civil rights or some other sob story. I've seen this victim act before, sweetheart." She hangs up the phone with theatrical flair, slamming the receiver down hard enough to make nearby glasses rattle. "Police will be here in 5 minutes. Then we'll see who's telling the truth and who's running elaborate scams on hard-working Americans." Brenda confiscates Serena's car keys, dangling them like a trophy of victory. The BMW fob swings back and forth hypnotically. "Can't have you driving off in your stolen luxury car before the law arrives to sort this mess out properly." The trap has sprung completely now. Serena realizes she's effectively imprisoned by this woman's lies and hatred, held captive by false accusations and racial animus. The other customers shift uncomfortably in their seats, but none intervene. The bystander effect paralyzes them all. Easier to record than to act, safer to watch than to engage with ugly reality. Brenda continues her psychological assault, emboldened by her perceived power and the approaching sirens. "You know what I think? I think you're one of those welfare queens who've learned to dress up nice and play victim when you get caught red-handed. Probably have 5 other babies at home with 5 different fathers, all collecting government checks. Each word is calculated to inflict maximum damage, designed to strip away dignity and humanity." Serena's hands shake as another contraction grips her belly. She needs to sit down, needs water, needs this nightmare to end before her stress harms her unborn daughter. "And that innocent act? Please. I've seen plenty of your kind come through here acting all sweet and helpless while they're planning their next scam or lawsuit. Well, not today. Today you picked the wrong hard-working American to mess with." The distant sound of sirens begins to penetrate the diner's walls, growing steadily louder. Whether they're coming here or heading somewhere else, the approaching wail adds another layer of tension to an already explosive situation. Serena closes her eyes and thinks of James, wishing desperately that she'd chosen any other restaurant for their anniversary surprise. The diner's front door explodes open with enough force to rattle the windows. Detective Captain James Thompson fills the doorway like a storm front, his 6'4" frame blocking out the afternoon sun. His crisp white uniform shirt stretches across broad shoulders, gold captain's bars gleaming under the fluorescent lights. The leather of his duty belt creaks as he steps inside, his presence immediately commanding every eye in the room. His dark eyes scan the scene with trained precision. 20 years of police work have taught him to read situations instantly. He sees his wife cornered against the counter, her belongings scattered like crime scene evidence. Her left cheek bears the unmistakable red outline of a handprint. Her protective stance over her pregnant belly tells him everything he needs to know. "Serena?" His voice cuts through the silence like a blade, quiet but carrying absolute authority. The single word contains layers of concern, rage, and barely controlled power. Every customer feels the shift in atmosphere, like pressure dropping before a tornado. Brenda, still riding high on her perceived victory, doesn't notice the captain's insignia or the way every person in the diner has suddenly focused on this new arrival. She assumes he's just another responding officer sent to validate her lies and arrest her victim. "Finally!" she exclaims with theatrical relief, turning toward James with a triumphant smile. "Officer, I called about this criminal trying to use stolen credit cards. She got violent when I confronted her, started making threats, and now she's faking pregnancy complications for sympathy." James moves with deliberate calm toward his wife, his polished boots clicking against the checkered floor. Each step echoes like a countdown timer. He notices the multiple phone recording, the scattered belongings, the way other customers avoid eye contact. His jaw tightens imperceptibly. "Are you hurt?" he asks Serena softly, his voice a stark contrast to the authority he projects. His large hand hovers near her reddened cheek without touching, letting her decide if she wants comfort or space. "Is the baby okay?" The tenderness in his tone makes several customers gasp. This isn't how officers typically address suspected criminals. Brenda's smile falters slightly as she watches the interaction, confusion creeping into her confident expression. "James, Serena's voice cracks with relief and residual fear. "She wouldn't let me leave. She took my purse and called the police with false accusations." "Officer, don't let her manipulate you," Brenda interrupts desperately, sensing something shifting but not understanding what. "These people are good at playing the victim. She's probably telling you some sob story right now, but I saw everything. She tried to use fake credit cards." James slowly turns his attention to Brenda. His movement is predatory, controlled, like a lion finally focusing on the gazelle that's been making too much noise. When their eyes meet, she takes an involuntary step backward. "Ma'am," his voice drops to a dangerous whisper, "I need you to step away from my wife and her belongings. Right now." The word wife hangs in the air like a bomb waiting to detonate. Brenda's face cycles through confusion, realization, and mounting horror in the span of 3 seconds. Her mouth opens and closes soundlessly as her brain struggles to process this new information. James pulls out his badge wallet with practiced efficiency and places it on the counter next to Serena's scattered belongings. Detective Captain James Thompson, Atlanta Police Department. The gold shield gleams under the lights, official and undeniable. Next to it, he carefully places Serena's work ID that Brenda had carelessly tossed aside. Serena Williams Thompson, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Civil Rights Division. The two credentials side by side tell the complete story that Brenda's prejudice had blinded her to seeing. The silence in the diner becomes absolute. Even the kitchen sounds cease. Mrs. Washington actually smiles for the first time all afternoon. Michael Brooks's recording captures the exact moment when Brenda's world collapses. The college students stare in amazement at the dramatic reversal unfolding before them. I didn't know." Brenda's voice becomes small and shaky, all her earlier confidence evaporating like steam. "This is all a misunderstanding. She never said she was. I thought she was." "You thought she was what?" James's question cuts like ice. "A criminal because she's black? A fraud because she's pregnant? Help me understand your thought process here." Two patrol officers burst through the door, Officers Martinez and Davis, both breathing hard from running. They immediately recognize their captain and stop short, confusion written across their faces. This isn't the scene they expected from the 911 call. "Captain Thompson?" Officer Martinez looks around the diner, trying to understand why their superior is at what dispatch described as a credit card fraud call. "We got a report of a disturbance." James nods toward his wife, his voice returning to professional calm. The victim of multiple assaults is Assistant U.S. Attorney Williams Thompson. The perpetrator is the woman behind the counter. Brenda's legs begin to shake visibly. She grabs the counter for support as the full weight of her actions crashes down on her. She hasn't just assaulted a pregnant woman, she's assaulted a federal prosecutor whose husband is a police captain. Her face goes pale as paper. "Please, I'm sorry," she whispers, her voice barely audible. "I didn't mean... This is all just a big misunderstanding. I was having a bad day and I took it out on the wrong person." The wrong person? Serena speaks for the first time since James arrived, her prosecutor's voice steady and clear. "You mean there was a right person to assault and falsely accuse?" James places a protective hand on his wife's shoulder while addressing his officers. "We need to secure all video evidence from the security cameras and collect witness statements. Mr. Brooks," he nods toward the businessman still recording, "I'll need a copy of your video for evidence." The complete reversal is breathtaking. In less than 5 minutes, Brenda has gone from feeling powerful and in control to facing multiple felony charges. The phones that captured her hatred will now document her downfall. Justice has arrived wearing a police captain's uniform, and there's nowhere left to hide. Officer Martinez approaches Brenda with handcuffs already in hand, the metal glinting under the diner's harsh lights. Her face has turned ashen, and sweat beads on her forehead despite the air conditioning. The smell of fear mingles with the lingering aroma of fried food as reality crashes down around her. "Brenda Kowalski, you're under arrest for assault and battery, false imprisonment, filing a false police report, and civil rights violations," Martinez recites in a clear, professional voice. The Miranda rights echo through the silent diner as every customer watches the woman who terrorized a pregnant stranger get led away in chains. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." The familiar words take on new weight as Brenda's hands are pulled behind her back. The handcuffs click shut with finality. Brenda's voice becomes increasingly desperate and shrill. "Mrs. Thompson, please. I'm so sorry. I didn't know who you were. I was having the worst day of my life. My ex-husband stopped paying child support, and I haven't slept in weeks." Her excuses tumble out in a frantic stream. "Please, I have children to support. This job is all I have." James maintains his professional composure while addressing her pleas with ice-cold authority. "Ma'am, your apologies are noted for the record, but they don't undo the assault on my pregnant wife or the multiple civil rights violations you committed in front of numerous witnesses." Officer Davis methodically photographs Serena's injuries. The red handprint still visible on her cheek, the marks on her knuckles where Brenda struck her hand. Each flash of the camera documents evidence that will seal Brenda's fate in court. The clinical precision of police work transforms personal trauma into legal ammunition. Captain Thompson coordinates with his officers like the seasoned professional he is. "We need to impound the diner's security system and collect all recorded evidence. The cameras in the corners captured everything, and we have multiple civilian recordings from different angles." Michael Brooks steps forward, his business card ready. "Captain, I recorded the entire incident from when she first became verbally abusive. I'm happy to provide this as evidence." His phone contains 23 minutes of clear video showing Brenda's escalating attacks on an innocent, pregnant woman. Mrs. Washington approaches slowly, her weathered hands shaking with righteous anger. "Officer, I've been coming to this diner for 30 years, and I saw everything that poor child endured. That woman used language I won't repeat and treated her like dirt from the moment she walked in." The diner's manager, Tony Kowalski, bursts through the kitchen doors after receiving frantic calls from the cook. When he sees his cousin in handcuffs and learns what happened, his face drains of all color. The family resemblance is unmistakable. The same pale complexion and sharp features. "Oh God, Brenda, what have you done?" His voice cracks with horror and disbelief. He immediately turns to Serena and James, his hands clasped in desperate supplication. "Captain Thompson, Mrs. Thompson, I am so deeply sorry. This does not represent our values at all." Tony's damage control efforts pour out in a torrent of panic. "Brenda is terminated immediately, effective this instant. We will cooperate fully with your investigation and do everything possible to make this right. Please, is there anything at all we can do?" James calls for paramedics despite Serena's protests that she's fine. I need EMTs to check on both my wife and the baby. This level of stress could have serious medical consequences. The approaching ambulance sirens add another layer of official response to what started as a simple lunch. EMT Sarah Johnson arrives within minutes, her medical bag ready. She conducts a thorough examination while other customers watch anxiously. Blood pressure is elevated due to stress, but the baby's heartbeat is strong and steady, she reports with professional calm. I recommend immediate follow-up with your obstetrician. Word spreads quickly through social media as customers share videos of the incident. Local news stations start calling the diner after seeing viral posts with hashtags like #JusticeServed and #PregnantAndAttacked. James realizes they need to control the narrative before it spirals beyond their control. He makes a brief statement to the growing crowd of reporters gathering outside. This was an unprovoked assault on a pregnant woman that will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of both state and federal law. We have overwhelming evidence and multiple witnesses. Serena contacts her supervisor at the U.S. Attorney's Office from the ambulance. Given her position prosecuting civil rights cases, this assault takes on federal significance. Assistant U.S. Attorney Rodriguez assures her that the Civil Rights Division will review everything for potential federal charges. Tony officially fires Brenda in front of the remaining customers and officers. Brenda Kowalski, you are terminated for assault, creating a hostile environment and bringing shame to this establishment. Your final paycheck will be mailed. Do not return to these premises. The public firing adds humiliation to her mounting legal troubles. Brenda is transported to Fulton County Jail for booking. The charges include simple assault, aggravated assault due to Serena's pregnancy, false imprisonment, filing false police reports, and civil rights violations. Bond is set at $50,000 given the severity and hate crime nature of the offenses. The legal machinery begins grinding toward justice with unstoppable momentum. Within 48 hours, the FBI's Civil Rights Division opens a federal investigation into the incident. Special Agent Patricia Williams, a seasoned investigator with 15 years of experience prosecuting hate crimes, takes personal charge of the case. The viral nature of the videos and Serena's position as a federal prosecutor handling civil rights cases elevates this from a local incident to a federal priority. The story explodes across national media like wildfire. Federal prosecutor assaulted while pregnant, viral video shows shocking restaurant attack dominates news cycles from CNN to Fox News. The contrast between Brenda's racist assumptions and the reality of Serena's distinguished career becomes a powerful symbol of systemic prejudice and unconscious bias plaguing America. Social media amplifies the outrage exponentially. The hashtag #JusticeForSerena trends nationally within hours. Celebrity activists share the video with millions of followers. The footage of a pregnant federal prosecutor being slapped by a racist waitress becomes a rallying cry for civil rights organizations across the country. The Atlanta community organizes massive rallies supporting Serena and demanding comprehensive justice. The NAACP, Southern Poverty Law Center, and dozens of other civil rights organizations call for maximum prosecution under both state and federal law. Reverend Dr. Marcus King leads a peaceful protest outside the courthouse, drawing hundreds of supporters carrying signs reading "Justice for Serena" and "End Restaurant Racism." The Fulton County Grand Jury convenes in an emergency session and indicts Brenda on multiple felony charges. Aggravated assault targeting a pregnant woman carries enhanced penalties under Georgia law. Civil rights violations, false imprisonment, and filing false police reports add to her mounting legal troubles. Each charge carries potential years in state prison. The federal grand jury adds even more serious charges under 18 U.S.C. 245 federal civil rights violations that carry potential sentences of up to 10 years in federal prison. The Department of Justice makes clear that hate crimes against federal prosecutors will be prosecuted with zero tolerance and maximum penalties. Brenda's family scrapes together money for Marcus Steele, a private attorney specializing in defending hate crime cases. Steele immediately recognizes the uphill battle ahead, given the overwhelming video evidence and multiple credible witnesses. He advises Brenda that pleading guilty and hoping for mercy might be her only realistic option. District Attorney Jennifer Park, known for her tough stance on hate crimes, refuses initial plea offers that would result in minimal jail time. This wasn't just an assault. It was a racially motivated attack on a pregnant federal prosecutor. she announces at a packed press conference. The community demands accountability, and that's exactly what they'll receive. Plea negotiations stall completely as Brenda's legal team pushes desperately for community service and probation. The prosecution's evidence grows stronger daily as more witnesses come forward and additional video footage surfaces from different angles throughout the diner. Serena files a comprehensive federal civil rights lawsuit against both Brenda and the Peachtree Diner for damages. The lawsuit seeks $5 million in compensatory and punitive damages, citing emotional distress, physical assault, violation of civil rights, and ongoing trauma affecting her pregnancy and career. The diner's insurance company immediately begins settlement negotiations to avoid trial. Dr. Maria Rodriguez, a leading expert on racial trauma and pregnancy, provides devastating testimony about the psychological impact of racially motivated violence on expectant mothers. The stress hormones released during such attacks can have lasting effects on both mother and child, she explains to federal investigators. This wasn't just an assault. It was an attack on this family's future generations. Prosecutor Amanda Foster, renowned for her successful prosecution of high-profile hate crimes, takes personal charge of the state case. Foster's team assembles overwhelming evidence including the viral videos, witness testimony, expert analysis of racial bias, and Brenda's documented history of racist behavior toward previous customers and co-workers. The investigation reveals this wasn't Brenda's first racially motivated incident. Former co-workers come forward with disturbing testimonies about her regular use of racial slurs and discriminatory treatment of minority customers. Security footage from previous months shows a clear pattern of providing inferior service to customers of color while treating white patrons with respect. Additional evidence emerges proving the diner's management knew about Brenda's racist behavior, but failed to act responsibly. Customer complaint records show at least 12 formal complaints about discriminatory treatment over the past 2 years, all dismissed by Cousin Tony without investigation or disciplinary action. Legal scholars across the nation note that this case could establish important precedents for prosecuting restaurant discrimination. Professor David Brooks of Emory Law School states, "This case demonstrates how seemingly minor service industry discrimination can escalate to violent assault when enabled by institutional indifference and racial prejudice." Against her attorney's urgent advice, Brenda rejects the prosecution's final plea offer of 3 years in state prison plus 2 years federal time. She maintains in a jailhouse interview that she was simply having a bad day and didn't mean anything racial. Her continued denial of racial motivation only strengthens the prosecution's hate crime case. The trial draws unprecedented national attention to Atlanta. The courtroom packs with civil rights activists, legal observers, and media representatives from major networks. Judge Patricia Williams maintains strict order as both sides present their cases to a diverse jury of 8 women and 4 men. Foster's opening statement focuses powerfully on a shocking display of racial hatred that traumatized an innocent family and violated the basic human dignity we all deserve. The prosecution methodically presents video evidence, witness testimony, and expert analysis that leaves no doubt about Brenda's motivations. Michael Brooks's testimony proves devastating for the defense as he calmly recounts witnessing the entire incident from beginning to end. Mrs. Washington's emotional account of watching a pregnant child get attacked for no reason other than the color of her skin moves several jurors to visible tears. Brenda's defense team attempts desperately to portray her as a victim of economic stress and personal problems, but the strategy backfires spectacularly when prosecutors reveal her stable, middle-class background and employment history. The jury sees through attempts to excuse racially motivated violence with personal hardship claims. After just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returns guilty verdicts on all charges. The forewoman announces solemnly, "We find the defendant guilty of aggravated assault, civil rights violations, false imprisonment, and filing false police reports. The evidence was overwhelming and the defendant's actions absolutely inexcusable." Brenda collapses dramatically as the verdicts are read, but her tears fail to generate sympathy from anyone in the packed courtroom. Justice has spoken with unanimous clarity, and the consequences are about to match the severity of her crimes. 6 months later, the camera opens on Serena's cozy living room where afternoon sunlight streams through sheer curtains. She sits in a comfortable rocking chair, cradling her healthy newborn daughter, Justice Marie Thompson. The baby sleeps peacefully in her arms, tiny fingers curled around her mother's thumb. The morning news plays softly in the background, featuring a story about declining hate crimes in the Atlanta area following increased prosecutions. Justice's nursery displays framed photos from the trial, not as trophies, but as reminders of how far society has come and how far it still needs to go. James prepares breakfast in their new kitchen, humming quietly while scrambling eggs. The smell of fresh coffee mingles with baby powder and the promise of a better future. People often ask me if I regret going to that diner that day. Serena speaks directly to the camera in voiceover, her prosecutor's voice now softened with maternal wisdom. The truth is, what happened there was just one moment in a much larger story about justice and equality in America. The narrator explains how the case sparked broader change rippling across the Southeast. The Georgia legislature passed stronger hate crime legislation specifically addressing discrimination in public accommodations. Restaurant chains from Atlanta to Birmingham adopted zero-tolerance policies for discriminatory behavior, with mandatory bias training for all staff members. The Atlanta Police Department implemented new training protocols for responding to bias incidents, using Serena's case as a teaching tool. Captain Thompson now leads seminars on recognizing hate crimes and protecting victims' rights. His first-hand experience brings authenticity to lessons that might otherwise feel abstract to younger officers. Meanwhile, Brenda serves her sentence at Georgia Women's Correctional Institution, where she's required to attend racial sensitivity training and anger management classes twice weekly. Her family has struggled financially with her imprisonment, losing their home and filing for bankruptcy due to legal costs and the civil judgment. Her children, now in foster care, visit monthly under supervised conditions. The hardest part wasn't the physical assault, Serena continues, gently rocking Justice. It was realizing that someone could hate me so completely without knowing anything about me except the color of my skin. But it also showed me how many good people exist who refuse to let hatred win. Under new management, the Peachtree Diner has transformed into a symbol of redemption and change. Tony sold the establishment to a diverse group of local investors who renamed it Community Table. They host monthly civil rights forums and donate proceeds to local anti-discrimination organizations. A bronze plaque near the entrance reads, "A place where all are welcome, dignity is respected, and justice is served." The case propelled Serena's career to national prominence, leading to her promotion as chief of the Civil Rights Division. She now leads a team of federal prosecutors dedicated to combating hate crimes across the Southeast. Her office has achieved a 96% conviction rate on civil rights cases, sending a clear message that bias-motivated violence will face swift justice. James and I decided to name our daughter Justice because we want her to understand that fairness isn't automatic. It's something we must fight for every day. Serena explains, her voice filled with quiet determination. She'll grow up knowing that her mother faced hatred and chose love, faced violence and chose peace, faced injustice and chose to fight for what's right. The narrator addresses systemic issues directly. This case wasn't just about one waitress's prejudice. It revealed how quickly discrimination can escalate to violence when left unchecked. But it also demonstrated how swift justice and community action can create lasting change. Every viral video of injustice becomes an opportunity for education, every prosecution a deterrent, and every conviction a step toward equality. Statistical overlays show the case's measurable impact. Reports of restaurant discrimination increased by 300% nationwide, not because incidents rose, but because victims felt empowered to come forward. Prosecutions of public accommodation discrimination doubled. Most importantly, bystander intervention training programs expanded to over 500 communities across America. If this story moved you, I encourage you to examine your own biases and speak up when you witness discrimination. Serena addresses viewers directly. Subscribe to this channel for more stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things in the pursuit of justice. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. The camera focuses on baby Justice sleeping peacefully while her parents watch with joy. The message crystallizes perfectly. From trauma can come triumph. From injustice can emerge justice. and from hatred can grow hope. The cycle of justice continues with each new generation that learns to stand up for what's right. Remember, silence in the face of injustice is complicity. Your voice matters, your actions count, and your courage can change lives. When you witness injustice happening right in front of you, will you be the person who records it, reports it, and stands up for what's right? Or will you be the person who looks away and lets hatred win? The final frame shows Justice Thompson, now a healthy 6-month-old, playing happily while her parents watch protectively. The choice is yours, and that choice defines who you are.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.